Hey, what is up, guys? It's me, Parksy here, your coach of the Armados, bringing it back to Smash today here for DGBA Season 9, Week number 5, where your Armados are going to be taking on CHES, the coach of the Memphis Zizzlies, we'll go with that. But yeah, he has got a very powerful team. If you haven't already, make sure to go and check out previous videos because they will. I will be spoiling the results of some of the previous battles and just the overall record. So a card should be showing up now, bringing you back to the previous video if you do want to go check that out. And if you're new to the channel, why don't you go and maybe check out the very beginning, my very first battle, and then just watch those videos, and then hopefully get up to here. After all, it is quarantine. We're hardly doing anything. So yeah, we're going to be going up against CHES, and this is going to be a very scary battle. I believe CHES was one of the highest ranked players in the DGBA Season 9 with his team, as you can see in front of you. His team is very good, but I feel like, especially versus my team, I definitely can see some noticeable and exploitable weaknesses on his team. So hopefully, with some good prep and just getting in the right mindset, I can hopefully try and break through his team. If you haven't already checked out the previous video, and again, I suggest you do, but we did lose our previous battle to Poblano. We were the only team, funnily enough, that was undefeated in the first 3 weeks. I was 3-0, I had a +11 record, and I was the only team. Everyone else had had at least one loss, and then I faced Poblano, and then yeah, I got a 2-0, so now I believe I'm on 3-1 with a +9 record, which of course is still really good, especially because there was only a scout player I was trying to do versus Bilbao due to him being a likely playoff opponent, but still it isn't really the best feeling in your stomach when you're coming off a 1-0 loss, and so definitely I'm going to have to try and fight that and try and beat CHES this battle. But he has got a team of Tapu Koko, Latios, Drapion, Lucario, Noctowl, Mega Swampert, Pelipper, Porygon 2, Omastar, Reuniclus, and Ferrothorn. So something to note about his team is that the combination, just firstly, Tapu Koko versus my team is absolutely insane. It can just break through my team so easily, and it's really not much of a competition. It is probably his best member on the team, just due to the fact that it can run Fairy and Electric coverage as its dual stab and be able to break through the entirety of my team with at least neutral coverage, likely hitting my team for a stab. Terrain boosted electric attack at worst. Plus also does get access to grass knot, so even something like my Swampert can't be a reliable switch in. It also gets some really nice momentum in terms of U-turn and just some annoying things like Taunt that can potentially stop an SD Scizor and things like that, and a Wish Sylveon, and it does have access to Work Up as well and Calm Mind, so it is definitely going to be an annoying Pokemon to play. Adding on top of that, Latios can also be a really annoying Pokemon. Of course, Latios is just always an annoying Pokemon. Luckily, I do have a pretty good response to it this game, as you're about to see, and I do have some good pseudo responses on my team. But of course, Latios is always going to be a threat versus teams, and mine is no real exception due to the fact that it can hit it pretty hard and wall break pretty well. Mega Swampert is also one of the biggest threats versus my team. I think that Tapu Koko, Mega Swampert, and Pelipper, that three of a core is really, really tough for my team to respond to due to the fact that Mega Swampert can outspeed the entirety of my team, barring Choice Scarfers in the rain, plus also having stab rain boosted attacks coming off, I believe, a 150 attack stat is really hard to switch into, and my team really doesn't appreciate it, as even though I do have 2 water immunities in Volcanion and Heliolisk, neither of them like taking a stab earthquake and will just easily drop to it, so that really leaves my response to Mega Swampert very very minimalistic. But fortunately, I do have some very good members versus my team. For example, I do believe that my base 115s, Azelf and Alolan Persian, have a really good jump point versus his team, being able to speed again the entirety of them, except Tapu Koko, and then like Scarpers and Mega Swampert in the rain. But just from a pure analytical standpoint, they're very good, as well as the fact that they can also stop Latios. Azelf is a little bit more questionable, but I could make an Azelf set that can stop most variants of Latios. And yeah, Alolan Persian can stop Latios very well, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Plus also the fact that he doesn't have any responses to, well, he does have responses to Thousand Hours, but no resistances. Again, we're playing a team where the grass type is incorporated into a type that doesn't like facing ground type attacks, this being Ferrothorn. As previously, I believe we played Luke, who didn't have any Thousand Arrows resistances because his grass type was Roserade. But he does have some pretty good defensive mons to take hits from my Zygarde. The Porygon 2 especially is just a really annoying bulky wall because it can take on my Zygarde while also being able to take on my Volcanion due to the fact that it can run Trace and absorb my water attacks, actually healing it up. Even though it might be boosted in the rain, and of course fire type attacks in the rain isn't going to be doing any kind of damage, pretty much meaning that I can't bring Volcanion this match just because that Porygon 2 is annoying. Plus also Latios is really good offensive switching as well, so yeah, Volcanion really struggles this game, as well as also Reuniclus being able to take a hit from most Zygarde variants, even if it is boosted up, and being able to fire off something like a Nice Beam. And Ferrothorn of course is a pretty good pseudo response to Zygarde, being able to fire off powerful Gyro Balls, Leech Seeds, Toxics. So that's something that has to be taken into consideration as well. So it pretty much means that even though he has got good responses, I'm not pressured to run something like an Outrage variant that I might otherwise have to if my opponent did actually have some ground responses. So that's something to take into consideration. Another thing is that my opponent pretty much has no responses to Freeze Dry. Freeze Dry is a very good spammable move versus this team. The only Pokemon on this team that can take the Freeze Dry attacks is going to be that Lucario, which still, of course, Lucario isn't very well known for its bulk. So we're going to see how it goes in that team builder. I want to remind everyone that there are questions of the day, since I don't think I've reminded people since week 1 about that. Question of the day: who is your favorite competitive Pokemon creator to watch? Do like these pseudo draft league formats? I'd be really interested to know because I am watching a lot of them right now. I am currently rewatching the entirety of Jolt's, GBA, Uber's league, and then I'm also watching some of Joey's P4G, so I'd be really interested if there is a content creator that I haven't met quite yet you guys would recommend to me, then I'd really appreciate it, because I am trying to get back into the Pokemon format, as you might be able to tell me going over these battles that happened several months ago. So yeah, also if you feel like it, leave this video a like. I'd really appreciate it. Lets me know that I should keep uploading these types of videos. But the first member of my team is of course Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor is phenomenal versus this team due to the fact that I feel like Pelipper is a really strong bring in this game, and that because of that, Hidden Power Fire is not going to be hitting my Mega Scizor, meaning that its only weakness is going to be really well guarded in this game. I'm going to use this as a wall breaker to try and beat down some of the Pokemon that might annoy my Zygarde with things like my Ferrothorn, Reuniclus, and Porygon 2. This Pokemon is designed to switch into all of them and be able to set up sword stances on them, and also it can threaten more offensive Pokemon such as Tapu Koko, which is going to be 2 Akio by 2+2 bullet punches plus a round of heal damage or stealth rock damage, which is going to be an important part that I'll get to very later. I might have spoiled a member of my team, but yeah, that is definitely going to be something that you might have to keep in the back of your mind, and as an important calc. Also being able to do some really nice damage to the Latios, which might be a certain response to Mega Scizor with Hidden Power Fire, assuming that he can switch it in while the rain isn't up. But then we just got Roost for Reliable Recovery. Bug Bite is just a really good move to hit things like Calm Mind, Reuniclus while not risking. Calm Mind and Iron Defense, some sort of variant like that, Reuniclus, so I can set up on that and fire off Bug Bites while not losing momentum due to the fact that they might have to U-turn on another set, so that's also very important. But yeah, just a very good bulky attacker that can also live a hit from Mega Swampert. Special defense allows me to take hits from the Tapu Koko and Latios, potentially even setting up sword stances on them. But with that, I'm going to get to the next member of my team, because if I'm not going to have momentum on this Pokemon, I'm definitely going to bring momentum on another Pokemon, because CHES's team doesn't really appreciate momentum and losing momentum versus his opponents, because he does want to constantly beat down opponents with his Rain Core and just general on his team, which I think he should exploit versus me. I think he does have the better speed tiers versus me, so I think that is definitely something that he should exploit, as well as the fact that I think the matchup is a little bit in his favor. But the next Pokemon on my team is Alolan Persian. It's just a really good fast Pokemon versus this team. As I said already, the speed allows me to outspeed Mega Latios, while also this being a potential emergency check to the Mega Swampert if otherwise my other check gets too weak slash is knocked out. The foul play allows me to deal about 50 to 60% of the damage to the Mega Swampert, which is nice, and I lost my voice there for a second, so sorry. Knockoff, of course, being allowing me to knock off the Eviolite and Porygon too, which is super nice. Also being able to remove leftovers from some other potential Zygarde checks, such as the Reuniclus, the Zygarde, and also being able to potentially knock off Choice Specs off Tapu Koko is going to be really nice if he wants to make that aggressive play as well, while also being able to knock off a potential Damp Rock from the Pelipper is also going to be nice to reduce rain turns. Of course, Parting Shot being able to fire that off versus a team that might be as offensive as I expect as CHES's team is going to be nice to help get in some of my wolves or my offensive threats, and then Taunt is finally to stop things like Reuniclus and Ferrothorn trying to get off their healing attacks, while also the Porygon too, pretty much stopping them from going for Recover or Cheat respectively. And then the Darkinium Z allowing me to heal up some of my other members, as I'm about to reveal. I've got a very good Wall Breaker, which is the next Pokemon which would really appreciate the Z Parting Shot, as well as by Zygarde. I can also see having to take several hits this game, and being able to Z Parting Shot it back up to full health is also going to be really nice. But the next Pokemon on my team, as I already alluded to, is the Aurorus. This Pokemon is phenomenal versus this team, and is really one of the reasons why I decided to pick up Aurorus is because of this matchup in general. And it's not just for this matchup. I think that Aurorus does have use outside in other battles, as it was really good versus Luke as well. But I did want to bring some sort of anti-weather, just because I knew that CHES has such a scary team, and without this snow warning ability, I felt like my matchup versus Rain was going to be very bad. Whereas it's only bad now, so it's a little bit of an improvement. But the speed allows me to outspeed Latios with the Choice Scarf, of course, multiplying its speed. Now, I was talking through Has about this set. I originally had Choice Specs on this set because I felt like breaking the lower speed walls, like the Porygon 2, the Ferrothorn, the Reuniclus, was going to be a lot nicer to help my Zygarde WinCon, but has suggested Choice Scarf because that allows me to surprise knock out the Latios, while also being able to see if he is running a Choice Scarf Pelipper, which actually has quite a bit of a likelihood due to it really appreciating the higher speed tier versus my team, and also just getting off faster Hurricanes and things like that. So it's also a good scout play to see if he's running Choice Scarf Pelipper turn 1, but basically Blizzard is just really good coverage versus his team, being able to hit it really powerfully. Of course, Freeze Dry pretty much is unresisted by the entirety of his team. The only Pokemon that resists it is Lucario, which still takes about 30% with Freeze Dry plus heal damage. Hidden Power Fire is there to deal about 40 to 50% to Ferrothorn, depending on his investment, as Ferrothorn again is going to be one of his more annoying Pokemon for my team to deal with, especially because I can't run any fire coverage to try and hit it with that 4 times weakness, just because of its unreliability and such a rain oriented matchup potentially. And then finally, I've got Stealth Rocks. I don't expect myself to click Stealth Rocks in this game, especially with a Choice Scarf or Aurorus, but it's good to have them in the final slot in case, for example, I do weaken the Pelipper down to about maybe 20%, say for example, and then I could just set up the Stealth Rocks and then not have to deal with rain anymore. So that's something that could happen, but generally I do think that rocks are going to be that useful in the game, just because I already have Heal, which sort of is like a sneaky variant of rocks that can deal the chip damage that I need, due to the fact that I don't believe he's got an Ice type on his team. I might stand corrected, but I don't believe on the recap on this team that he doesn't have an ice type. So yeah, I'll always be able to get the heal up, potentially breaking sashes on things like the Omastar as well. This is also a very good counter lead again to something like a Shell Smash Omastar lead, as if it is a Shell Smash variant, and it will just drop to the free strike plus heal. Also, if it is trying to be a hazard stack variant, you can only set up really one hazard before dying off to the free strike plus heal combination. As the next Pokemon on my team is going to be the Zygarde. This Zygarde is a bulky Papa Berry variant with enough special defense investment that in an emergency situation I can live an Ice Beam from a Latios, which is nice. I can also live potentially Dragon Pulses from it as well, and also that Papa Berry is going to be really nice for keeping my Zygarde healthy. Since of course Zygarde isn't renowned for having any reliable recovery, having that Papa Berry, the potential Z parting shot to keep it healthy is going to be nice. I have got a Coil Extreme Speed Substitute 1000 Hours variant. Again, as I said, I only really need 1000 Hours as a good breaking move versus this team due to it not really resisting 1000 Hours, and also Extreme Speed is really nice for picking off things like Weaken Tap, Coco, and Latios. Something that they might try to revenge kill me with. I can also live a Choice Spexes, Cocos. I believe it's Dazzling Gleam, but I might also be able to live a Hidden Power Ice from that. So that's also nice for the Spadef investment, while also being able to set up on things like the Ferrothorn with the Coil is going to be nice, as well as any other physical attackers that he might have. But that's pretty much it for Zygarde, just a really good bulky attacker. And actually, funny enough, I think I've brought 5 different variants of Zygarde in 5 different games. So for anyone that's saying that Zygarde isn't really a versatile Pokemon, there you go. Just it's not just a choice band breaker, because I've used weakness policy, I've used draconium Z, I've used defensive ground TMZ, I've used choice band, and now I'm using defensive Papa Berry, which I believe in Gen 7 format was a good countermeasure to the Ferrothorn, and I'm going to be using that as well, since Ferrothorn might actually be one of his better responses. Well, it is one of his better responses to Zygarde, and he might bring it as one of his better responses to the Zygarde. So that's pretty much a good set versus him. Again, it might have to take a hit or two. That's why I do have the Papa Berry just in that scenario. But again, um, I do need some defensive walls versus his team, as even though he has got some really good speed versus me, I do want to make sure that my walls can withstand attacks, just so that I can chip down his other walls potentially, or his offensive threats into range of things like my Zygarde's extreme speed or my Mega Scissors Bullet Punch. Or even my Aurora's Choice Scarf, since I really think that this game is going to be dictated on who can have the better speed, who can have the better priority on their attacks, and who can really just who can win the game of inches basically. But the next Pokemon is going to be Chestnut. Sorry, that I'm going to be bringing versus him. So I have got, of course, the leftovers. I've got the Drain Punch, Leech Seed, Spike Shield, and Seed Bomb. I'm bringing Seed Bomb this time because I previously didn't, and it could have won the game for me if I actually did. So I'm bringing Seed Bomb this time. As well as that, it can also be just a really good way of damaging the Mega Swampert. If not knocking it out, then I'll be able to wear it down into range of the extreme speed from the Zygarde. Unfortunately, I can't run Synthesis in this match due to the fact that, of course, Rain's going to be likely up for a lot of the game. If not Rain, then Heal, which pretty much means that Synthesis is going to be a very unreliable option in this game. And due to that, I have to run Leech Seed and Spiky Shield, which I guess is fine due to the fact that I can also scout out to see if one of his potential choice scarfers, I think he has to either bring Pelipper or Latios in this game as a choice scarfer to revenge more likely a choice scarf Latios, just due to the fact that I think it needs to revenge kill a +1 Zygarde somehow. He might be relying on his defensive walls, but yes, an offensive measure versus that doesn't hurt. But yeah, if anything's choice locked, then I'll be able to know due to it not being able to recover up the leftovers, and I can also get off Leech Seed while also Spiky Shield being able to threaten things like the Swampert, because even though this is nearly max defense Chestnut, Ice Punch is still doing a really good amount of damage. It does about 40% to Chestnut, maybe a little bit less, but still a lot of damage versus a Chestnut. So I have to make sure that I can wear down his Swampert and just threaten it with things like the Leech Seed and the Spiky Shield, as well as the fact that his only response, well, his only Pokemon that can absorb the seeds is Ferrothorn, which again I can just fire off Drain Punches versus and get some recovery versus due to the fact that again I'm a it's a stab versus a steel type, so it's going to be doing a lot of damage with the Drain Punch. So that's pretty much it. Not really much to say about the Chestnut either. I believe the speed is also to outspeed something like a Porygon 2, trying to speed creep my Chestnut. So that's pretty much it. As the next member on my team that I decided to bring in, the final member, is Sylveon. Of course, Sylveon being a really good defensive wall, just really good pseudo check to a lot of Pokemon. If any of you guys are considering drafting Sylveon, I would definitely recommend it due to the fact that Sylveon is just such a good countermeasure to a lot of Pokemon. It can chew 2 hits very easily while also providing cleric support for a team. But I'm running Toxic, Hyper Voice, Protect, and Wish on this set. Of course, Toxic being able to wear down a lot of his more defensive walls, most notably that Porygon 2, since when Porygon 2 is down, a lot more of my offensive members have a lot more fun versus his team, and really there's just this entire team is just built around trying to pressure the Porygon 2 to either it being seriously crippled or just being knocked out in general. As I also have Hyper Voice, which is just a really good stab option, meaning of things like the Lucario can't set up Sword Stance versus me for free, as he will take about 50%. And then Protect and Wish. Again, Zygarde without reliable recovery is going to appreciate those wishes while also being able to potentially stall out something like a Choice Scarf or Choice Specs' Pelipper's Hurricane slash Hydro Pumps in the rain. Protect is just also a really nice measure to stall out rain turns, as well as Spiky Shield in the Chestnut. Again, just trying to make sure that Mega Swampert isn't going to be, well, neutralizing it as a threat. This is probably going to be my main response to the Tapu Koko due to the fact that I've invested entirely into the special defense investment. And I do think that a mixed or offensive Tapu Koko in general is very good versus my team. So that's pretty much it. I don't think I've missed anything versus his team. I think I've clarified everything, so now let's get to the matchup. As I've already clarified, I am bringing a Mega Scizor, Alolan Persian, Aurorus, Zygarde, Chestnut, and Sylveon. As my predictions versus him is Tapu Koko. Again, 4 attacks, Expert Bell, 4 attacks, Life Orb just makes a lot of sense. He could even be a 3 attacks, Life Orb, Roost variant if he wants, and then just take away the momentum option, whether that be Volt Switch or U-turn. But I think that Tapu Koko has to come in this matchup. It's just so good versus my team, and even Crobat, which speed ties with it, just isn't really that good versus it due to the fact that Tapu Koko, even if it gets outsped by Crobat, Crobat can't really do much versus it except Cross Poison, which I don't think even knocks it out. As the next Pokemon, sorry, my next source, so I might have moved my mic, so sorry if you heard that. But the next Pokemon I do expect him to bring is Latios. Again, just a really good offensive breaker. I think the Choice Scarf Latios is really good as a response to Zygarde, making sure that it is kept in check, and also just allows a really good breaker versus something like my Chestnut, which he's got to bring, got to expect me bringing versus his team, just due to the fact that it is pretty much my best response to a Mega Swampert. It can also break pretty well with something like a Bulk Beam variant or even Psychic. Thunderbolt, Calm Mind, Roost can also be a good set. Pelipper, it can really be a lot of variants, and that's why I think Pelipper comes, not just because it's really good at setting up Ruin, but also because, again, Flying, Stab, versus my team isn't really that great. My only response is Heliolisk, which he can U-turn out versus if he wants to, or he can run something like a Hidden Power, Hidden Power Fighting variant of Hidden Power, he can run a Hidden Power Fighting variant of Pelipper with specs that can pretty much do my Heliolisk and do a ton to my Aurorus. So he could run that as a specs variant. He could also run Choice Scarf again for speed control, or else he could also just run a physically or especially defensive, although more likely physically defensive as a pseudo response to my Zygarde variant of Pelipper with the Damp Rock to help accommodate for that Mega Swampert that he might have in the back. As next is Reuniclus, again, just a really good physically defensive member. I think that Reuniclus matches up really well against my team, being able to fire off really just Calm Mind 2 attacks is so good against my team with something like a Psyshock Shadow Ball variant or a Psyshock Focus Blast variant even. Is just really good at breaking down my team while also being a good physical response to things like my Zygarde. And yeah, just again, not being affected by hazards or heal or anything like that. anything like that is going to be really nice as well. As again, I also think that Reuniclus is going to be one of his better responses if I do bring Ace Elf, so I think that Reuniclus is good in that front as well. As next is the Porygon 2 again. Porygon 2 being a nice response to the Volcanion due to its traceability. It can also respond to my Zygarde with things like Ice Beam as well, and just a physically defensive variant, Choose Ice Beam. I think even only max HP takes by 20%, so it's going to be really crucial to make sure they can get up Toxic, potentially a knockoff even on that Porygon, just so I can wear it down. But yeah, just a really good defensive wall that also gets recovery, so it's going to be annoying to deal with that Pokemon, which I think is quite likely to come. And finally is the Mega Swampert, which in rain is just an absolute monster with a combination of Earthquake, Waterfall, Ice Punch, and then potentially Stealth Rocks as the last move. I think that it just really is an incredible breaker versus my team, if not sweeper, in the rain. So yeah, I think the Mega Swampert is also a good option in the back. I do have some good response to it in Chestnut and Alolan Persian, which is why it might not come, but I think that ultimately it can break, if anything, for the Tapu Koko. And again, just that synergy between Tapu Koko and Mega Swampert is why I'm feeling that the Mega Swampert comes in this match, just because it hits so hard and can break so well for those two just have really good breaking synergy. But I think that's pretty much it. CHES is 2-2, I believe, for the +0 differential. So yeah, I think that he has had some rough games, but I don't discount any of my opponents. And CHES, I know, can be a great battler, but it's going to be cool to battle with my friends finally. So yeah, let's well, a good friend of mine like CHES. So yeah, let's get into this match and see what he brought. Alright guys, so we are here back with the battle, and as you can see in front of you, he's brought a very interesting team. He has brought some of the components like I expected. For example, the Pelipper came, the Tapu Koko came, Porygon 2, which I am expecting to be a Trace variant, did come as well as the Latios, which I think is a really good wall breaker versus my team. But then he brought the Lucario instead of Mega Swampert, which I think is definitely interesting. It sort of just makes Chestnut a little bit less useful in this matchup, just because it kind of was there just for the Mega Swampert. But it still can be maybe a good response to the Lucario depending on its set. But yeah, Lucario coming was very interesting. I guess he really wanted the freeze dry response, which was fair enough. And then he also brought Noctowl, so I'm sort of thinking that this could be a double sort of choice specs core between the Noctowl and the Pelipper, just firing off Hurricanes as something maybe even like a Life Orb or a Choice Specs Noctowl with Hyper Voice, Heat Wave, Air Slash, and Hurricane could do a lot of damage versus my team, as the responses that I do have to flying really do not appreciate a Tinted Lens boosted Hurricane, especially on top of that boosted by a Choice Specs. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the Noctowl can do. I do expect him to lead off with the Pelipper, either the Pelipper or maybe even the Latios if he's trying to get some offensive momentum. Could even be the Tapu Koko. Nonetheless, I think that my best response is to lead with my Aurorus, because instantly I'll be able to see if he is running Scarf Pelipper turn 1, and if he's not, then I will be able to scare him out with a freeze dry that will out prioritize any of the attacks that he wants to go for. So I am going to go start off here with Aurorus, as he actually does end up going for the Pelipper lead. So we're both trying to lead well. They're both trying to maybe gauge each other's sets, as my heal is going to fire up, so he probably thinks that I'm a Choice Scarf Aurorus, or if he's a defensive Pelipper, he probably thinks I'm a really speedy one trying to speed creep his Pelipper. Nonetheless, he does go into Lucario as I fire off Freeze Dry, as yeah, this is just standard offensive damage from the Lucario, doing it by 23%, which again is really nice chip damage, because that could potentially put it into range of 2 Blizzards down the line, and if this isn't running something like a Bullet Punch set, it could be an Extreme Speed set, then I want to make sure that I've weakened that down, because Aurorus could have essentially break for itself. But here he's going to fire off the Close Combat. As you're about to see, it kind of bounces off my Chestnut due to the physical defense investment. As I said already, I only really need the Chestnut for this, so I'm just going to go fire off some Seeds and see what his response is, as he does go into the Pelipper. And you're going to see here that he shows no items, so I'm
kind of thinking that this is going to be a choice specs Pelipper, since he didn't showcase, he isn't showcasing leftovers, he isn't showcasing choice scarf versus my Auroras, and I don't think that damp rock really makes the most sense in this game. So I'm just going to set up a spiky shield here as he decides to go for the U-turn. It could also be a life orb variant, so I'm just trying to scout him out, and I really don't want to needlessly sack off my chestnut. So here he's going to take a little bit more damage from my U-turn, which is always nice. Again, keeping chestnut up at full health is going to be nice for keeping that Lucario in check. As here I am going to make the switch out into my Auroras, getting up the hill, making sure I can get the chip damage off on the Lucario and the Porygon too. As here he's just going to fire off a U-turn. So probably a choice specs Pelipper we're looking at, which is kind of interesting because I haven't really seen that many U-turn moves on the choice specs Pelipper, but I guess it just needed in the fourth slot, so I can't really complain. So again, I set up the heal. The Lucario is going to get chipped down, which is nice, and I have a very nice switch into this Pokemon. Again, being my chestnut, so I'm just going to go in as he goes for the close combat. Once again, it's going to do about 35% to my chestnut. Unfortunately, the heal is going to negate my leftovers, but as long as I can connect with these seeds, which are 90% accurate, then I should be able to get some pretty good health due to the fact I can get 12%, and then I can double seed if I need, expecting him to switch. So here he makes an aggressive play into his Latios, probably because Pelipper doesn't have any recovery on it. He's realizing it's just getting worn down. So here I fire off my Leech Seed as I miss, which is kind of annoying because I could be in range now of two Lucarios close combats, but if the heal is gone, then I should be able to take the hits because of my spiky shield plus leftovers recovery. So here I make an aggressive play into my Auroras, making him think that I'm just simply sacking it off since I have no responses to it. So here he is going to take the life orb damage. I also didn't want to risk something like my Mega Scizor and a hidden Power Fire or my Alolan Persian on the Draco Meteor. So here I am just going to fire off the Blizzard, as fortunately he does stay in, maybe just expecting me to be a speedy Auroras, but nonetheless I'm going to fire off the Blizzard, knock out the Latios, and debatably the biggest threat versus my team is down, so that's going to be massive. The heal has stopped, as that means that his Lucario once again is going to get another free switch in, but I've dealt about 35% to this Lucario. It's very nice. It is now in range of Bullet Punch into +2 extreme speed, which is nice. And so he is just going to fire off the close combat, as again we get haxed with the close combat getting a crit. So basically it wouldn't have mattered that much if he got the crit here, because I still would have lived regular close combat. I can spiky shield potentially, as I do here on the expected Z move, which he just fires off, which is smart by him because he's not taking spiky shield damage. If I basically, for my chest not to have gone down to this Lucario, I had to miss Leech Seeds like I did, and I also had to get crit. Those were the two requirements, and he got them both. So that was a bit disheartening, but yeah, as we do also feel the spiky shield, so I'm not even going to be able to get it chipped down to about 50%, as here he's just going to fire off the Meteor Mash, just good against the rest of my team, as well as the fact that he can maybe get a +1 attack boost if he is trying to get really lucky versus me, but I decided to aggressively respond to him. My Zygarde, see really what his main response to this thing is, if it's going to be the Porygon or what, as he does reveal to be downloaded on the Porygon, so I'm kind of kicking myself about not bringing the Volcanion, but still Latios matches really well against Volcanion and sort of offensively pressured it, and could even roost up onto it in certain scenarios, so I don't really regret not bringing it, as this download is actually a really smart ability, because it allows him with his Ice Beam to, I presume, break the substitute of any Zygarde variant that he might face, probably to a KOing it, in fact, with the Ice Beam, pretty much meaning that it can't safely set up. So he's going to actually now pull the switch into Noctowl, as I reveal the Toxic to try and weaken this Pokemon, or I go for the Hyper Voice and then I go for the Toxic, because I didn't want him switching out into Lucario. So I fire off the Hyper Voice. I also want to keep the Porygon too low, and I just felt like the immediate Hyper Voice damage would be nice, as he reveals leftovers, and this Noctowl took nothing. This is a Slate Stab boosted attack from a pretty strong Pokemon just naturally, so he's definitely specially defensive, so it's going to be interesting to see what this thing can do, as here he's going to fire off a Toxic onto my Sylveon, which is a bit annoying because Sylveon is just sort of my pseudo check to Tapu Koko and the Pelipper. But I am just going to go switch out into my Auroras, as I do believe, since he is a specially defensive nature, specially defensive set, sorry, I should be able to take any attacks he can go for, as he fires off the Hyper Voice, and we barely live, but The point is that I did live, as here I believe it was about a 50-50 shot for the Blizzard here to knock him out, because Nocto's actually got some pretty good special defense, I'll give it that, as it actually survived, so he is going to get the double down, as he probably thinks that he's got the better end of the trade, which I guess he did, trading Auroras for the Noctowl, and now he is going to be able to have the weather up, so now I have to potentially worry about a Thunder variant of Tapu Koko if he did want to really go full rain. So Noctowl is going to go down, so we're currently 4v4, but I feel like a lot of his members of his team have got chip damaged more, which I'm banking off will hopefully win me this game of inches. As In's going to come to Pelipper as I go into my Alolan Persian, because I speaks the entirety of his team barring the Tapu Koko, and if he locks himself into Zazzling Beam, if he has a choice spec set, then my Mega Scizor can start setting up sword stances, and really he's going to be pressured a lot. As here with the parting shot, I can go into my Sylveon. The Hydro Pump shouldn't be doing that much, as he unfortunately misses, which does suck. However, I will just be able to fire off, I believe, a Hybrid Voice here on this turn, as he is going to go into Porygon 2, just to try and, I guess, heal up on me, or just to basically pull a scout play, see what I was willing to do. If I was willing to go for the wish, he could maybe get a recover off for free, since he does need this thing quite healthy, and I'm trying to chip this Porygon 2 down, as well as if he did go out into the Porygon 2 trying to maybe get off a recover or a toxic or what, my Alolan Persian lead would have also been able to knock that Violite off, as here he goes out into Lucario very smartly on my toxic play, and because of Chestnut being hacked during the beginning of the game, now I have to pretty much lean on my Mega Scizor to take the hits from this Lucario, which fortunately it is a little bit bulkier of a Mega Scizor, so I should be able to take the hits okay. I'm going to pivot out firstly into my Alolan Persian, expecting the Meteor Mash, because I know I can take one hit. CC doesn't really make much sense here, and I can also fire off a parting shot, getting momentum, and again getting in my Mega Scizor, as I would have said, since after the -1, close combat should never be a 2 KO versus his Lucario against my Scizor. So here I'm going to go bring in my Scizor, as he is just going to fire off the close combat, and it is going to do 30 hits. So definitely when I am a Mega, I should be able to take the hits, and here I can just pretty much do whatever I want. I can set up the sword stance, I can maybe go for a roost to get a little bit more recovery, but I believe I just fire off a Bullet Punch here, trying to get the damage off from this Lucario to pretty much wear it into range of the Zygarde, as if he saw me set up an SD, then he probably would have switched out, and I wouldn't have got this chip damage on Lucario, which is so crucial for my Zygarde's extreme speed late game, as he fires off a Blaze Kick, which I think is very interesting on a rain team, but I guess he did need something that would 2-KO the Mega Scizor, so I guess that was his option. As he was just going to go into the Pelipper, I go for a Bullet Punch, so there's no real downside to going for it again. I'm going to get 2 Bullet Punches off, meaning that my Alolan Persian is going to be a really nice revenge killer of this Pelipper, because I can pretty much knock off any item my opponent might have, and if he does decide to go into the Lucario, it should get knocked out. The worst case scenario is that it lives, and I might have to take an extreme speed, but pretty much by that stage Alolan Persian would just be done with. All I need Alolan Persian for right now is just for the Z parting shot potential, to get just to keep my Zygarde healthy. As here I'm going to go out into my Alolan Persian and pretty much pick up my KO with the knockoff, as he does decide to sack off the Pelipper, and he's going to revenge kill me with his Tapu Koko. Now I feel like the Sylveon switching is too obvious, and that I can get some nice momentum, so I actually stay in my Alolan Persian here, and even if he knocks me out, I can still go out to my Zygarde and I can start setting up coils and doing a lot of damage for his team. So he fires off a U-turn, he crits me unfortunately, so that could put me into range of the combination of Meteor Mash plus Bullet Punch slash extreme speed, as he just decides to go into the Alolan Persian, knowing I'm not going to knock off, and knowing that I'm just going to go, well, Porygon 2, sorry, knowing that I'm just going to go for the parting shot here, as I am going to get in my Sylveon and expecting him to go for the recover, because again he needs this thing healthy. I am just going to go fire off a Toxic, trying to get that residual chip damage off the Porygon 2, especially since my Zygarde essentially set up 6 substitutes with the Papa Berry on its set. So here he is actually going to let me Toxic the Porygon 2, as he is just going to go for the recover. Now these next few turns are sort of kind of mind games, because I know that he can't switch into his Tapu Koko, because he needs all the health he can on Tapu Koko not to be put into range of extreme speed. And I know he can't go out into Lucario because that is a very important member of his team for potentially offensively responding to my Alolan Persian and just being a general slack to Alolan Persian. So he's going to fire off a try attack here as I go for the wish, as both our toxic timers are wearing down. But he really can't switch in, and I make sure that just to get the point across, you can't switch into the Sylveon with the Hyper Voice, as he gets another crit in this battle, which of course I'm going to be able to heal up a little bit. Well, I'm going to be able to heal up, so it didn't really matter that much anyway, as the poison is going to really rack up on us. And I believe here is now the time that I decide to make my play out into the Alolan Persian, expecting him to go for the recover. He's down at 37%, and if he doesn't recover now, then he is going to be in range of my Zygarde's 1000 hours just in general, so he's going to take a huge amount of poison damages. I'm just going to fire off another parting shot and get in my Sylveon once more, because Tri Attack really isn't doing that much, and as long as this Porygon 2 is in, my Sylveon can easily just Wish and Hyper Voice, and they really do a lot of damage versus this team, as here he's just going to fire off another Tri Attack, I believe, as you're about to see that does an entire net of 10. So our Sylveon is really being the MVP in this battle, as taking so many hits. So here I'm just going to go, I believe, fire off another wish as he goes out into Lucario, but that's fine, since with a wish in the air, unless he is Ice Punch, which I still don't believe knocks out my Zygarde, you probably have to credit or something, then my Zygarde should be a pretty good response into this Lucario. So with the wish in the air, I'm going to go into my Zygarde. I can't set up coils up on this Lucario, especially since he was Blaze Kick. I don't think you're going to be an Ice Punch variant as well, as here he fires off the Meteor Mash. I'm going to get my recovery, and I'm going to set up my coil, since if I can start setting up coils in this Lucario after about 1, maybe 2 at max coils, then it won't be able to break my substitute. As here, like expected, he is going to go out into his Porygon 2, since it will be able to live 2000 arrows from my Zygarde and heal up. But no, I'm running the coil, so here he is going to get chipped down by the Toxic, and I know he needs to fire off the Ice Beam so that I don't set up a second coil, as here I am just going to fire off a Substitute, as I need a little bit more damage to get him one into range of plus 1000 arrows, since my core 1000 arrows I believe only did about 12% to him previously. So with this extra damage, I know that he is in guaranteed range of the plus 1000 hours, and this is again going to be another free kill for my Zygarde, adding on to its already monstrous record of kills. So the Porygon is going to go down. He goes out into the Tapu Koko. The only way he can knock me out is if he is Choice Specs and he gets about, even then it's a 25% chance to, but fortunately we do live. We do that through that Papa Berry, so it's either he got like the absolute min roll from a Choice Specs Tapu Koko, or more than likely he is the expert belt set that I did expect. Sorry. So expert belt set, of course, being able to fire off Grass Knots and Dazzling Gleams, and the Papa Berry is going to come in clutch, because even if this Lucario was an extreme speed variant, it can't knock me out, whereas at 8% it definitely would have. So I'm able to save a little bit of differential and able to get another kill for my Zygarde. So that was a really good game. I mean, it was a hacky game, but of course, you know, that's not CHES's fault. That's not anyone's fault. It's just the game after all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, every game I bring like a Alolan Persian too. I mean, I was doing pretty well on the hacks. I will admit, versus Luke and even to a certain extent Spoink. But man, Alolan Persian just brought me back to week 1, where I was just getting not very fortunate things happened to me. But yeah, this team was pretty fun to play with in this battle. I did want to use some of the Pokemon that I lesser used, like Chestnut, Alolan Persian, and Aurorus, I believe, all coming to only 1 game. And then of course we got the core 3 on the team with the Fairy Dragon, Steel Core, Zygarde, Mega Scizor, and Sylveon. So that's pretty much it. I am 4-1 with, I believe, a plus 12 differential. Of course, if you want to check out the question today, check out some previous videos that I have uploaded, and if you want to maybe go check out some of the other DGBA videos that I have uploaded of the season 9 if you're just new to this channel, and if you are just checking in. As always, a new video is going to be out next week, but if you're like me and you're a little bit forgetful and you can't always get there on time, you might want to drop a subscription to my channel. Make sure you got the bell on so that every single time you're notified at 6 p.m. GMT on Wednesday when my video is going to be uploaded for the DGBA Season 9. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.